I'm going to be like too douchey
to get on the show.
On the Bachelorette. Oh, I'm the funny guy. I got it. Like, I know who I am.
She ain't the funny guy.
Then I go to Paradise and I go on. I made out with every person that I went on a date with.
Please welcome my friend, Bachelor bartender, the greatest man ever, soon to be married to one of my favorite actresses, Wells Adams. Everybody.
Thanks for having me on your television show, Justin.
I really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. And it's so funny. Remind everybody what season of The Bachelor that you were on.
I don't even know. I think
it was JoJo Fletcher's
JoJo
season.
Fletcher. So I think it was Bachelorette season 12. And I lasted, I believe, 7 episodes.
You actually left in week 6.
Okay.
I did my research.
Yeah, but I did a men tell all, so that got me the 7th.
It got you the 7th.
Yeah. How do you know that?
It's called research. How did you even get on The Bachelor? Like, who talked you into like giving and putting yourself out there? Okay,
so this story is kind of funny. My brother is like the most gregarious, wonderful, really, he's the good-looking one in the family.
He's hot.
Yeah, he's awesome. His name is Brett. And he
definitely trying to hook up with him at the wedding.
Yeah, well, he's married, but
still going for it.
Yeah, you should, as you should.
100%.
But he lives in Brentwood in Los Angeles, and he has like one bar he goes to. It's called Q's. And he was there, and he was kind of like holding court. He was just like a big man on campus, and a casting director saw him and walked over and was like, "You have enamored everyone around you. You are so fun to watch." And was like, "I work for The Bachelor. I want you to be on The Bachelorette." So we went through the entire casting process. And the thing that people don't realize about the casting process is it takes a very long time.
How long?
For me, it was like 4 or 5 months. Like,
wow,
it was a very long time. In that swatch of time, in that window of time, he ended up finding someone and basically called him up and was like, "Hey, listen, I met a girl," and now he's married to her, so it worked out. But he's one of those guys that like never burns a bridge. Like, he is friends with everyone that he's ever met.
Yes.
And so this was like 7-8 years ago. Well, now it's longer because it was like 7-8 years ago when he told me about it. I did a radio show in Nashville, and I used to do this radio bit where I would go on auditions for like stupid commercials. And I'm not an actor at all. But it was like a funny bit that I would do with my co-host where we'd like run lines.
Yeah.
So then I became single, and my brother was like, "Hey, man, I'm still friends with this casting director for The Bachelorette. Do you want to like meet with them?" And I was like, "This is going to be the funniest radio bit ever because I'm going to be like too douchey
to get on the
Bachelorette." You know? And lo and behold, not too douchey. Just the right amount of douche.
But did you go in with your normal level of douche, or did you add some extra to try to throw them off and try to get the whole bit going?
Maybe. I don't know. So I go to this hotel.
Yeah.
I'm wearing like a jean jacket and like probably this exact shirt. Actually, it's probably this outfit, but with a jean jacket.
Which I've seen you in a few times because you wear that to rehearsal.
Yes, I have a uniform.
Yes.
All right? So I get there and I look around and every guy is in a suit because in their minds, they're like, I need to look like I'm supposed to look when I get out of a limo.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I am underdressed for this.
Don't you hate that feeling?
In my mind, I'm like, this is great. Like, this is such great radio fodder.
The bit is going to be amazing.
I'm starting off so badly. So then they call me up and they sit you down and like, it's kind of similar to this situation. They sit you down. And it was 2 female casting directors, and they just started asking me questions, and they were like, "Oh, great, do your radio bit."
So you were good.
So I like just word vomited like the 4 bits I had about like Justin Bieber peeing in like a trash can and like how that was the luckiest trash can ever. You know, like it was like some stupid bit like that. They were like dying laughing, and I remember afterwards they were like, "So what are you doing in March and April?" And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, but I don't know. And they're like, "Well, maybe block that out. We need to see you in Los Angeles." And then I was like, "Oh, I guess I did."
You made it to the next round.
Yeah. So then they fly you out to Los Angeles, and then you take a 500 question
psychology test,
psych eval.
Okay. By the way, people don't realize, which I think is bullshit. I think it's like I think what they actually do is you take the psych eval and they just have to say, like, in case someone goes rogue on that show, they have to say, well, we psych evaled them and we tested them and they didn't seem crazy. X, Y, and Z. I don't really think, because I've seen some crazy people on reality shows pass that psych eval.
Well, yeah. But have you seen the questions?
I was on a reality show, so I had to take the psych eval. But we'll get to that later on. Keep on going with your story.
Well, I just remember taking the questions of like, do you want to be a park ranger? And they'll be like, nah, I don't want to be a park ranger.
Have you ever had feelings of hurting animals?
Yeah, exactly. Like, do you think that people are out to get you? Gonna rethink the park ranger question now.
When you hear things, do they come from inside your head or out? I'm like,
do you hear voices?
I'm like, bitch, what is going on here?
I remember taking that, and you're all alone in like the Sheraton by the LAX, and I was like, I don't know, I'm scared now.
Then you start thinking that you're crazy.
Well, I don't think I was crazy or unstable.
I beg to differ. But let's go.
Fair. So I take that, and then like, you know, they have like a private eye that goes through like your, and that came up clean, thankfully. And then you do like an STD test.
Yes.
Also, luckily clean.
Clean.
Yep. And then you go and you do like what's called an ITM, which is like the interview that you see on The Bachelor, where it's like someone just sitting and kind of like looking a little bit off camera, being like, I can't believe that Tammy said that, you know, like whatever.
Yeah.
Then afterwards, what's crazy is afterwards, they take you into another room and there's all these people sitting there and they're like, hey, this is production.
Yeah.
And there's a huge TV. I was like, oh, you guys were all watching me. And they're like, yeah, have a seat. So then you sit down and then the real interview begins and you sit down in front of everybody that makes the show and then they start grilling you like crazy.
It's so crazy, right?
And that's how you get on the show.
So at this point, you're still thinking this is going to be a funny bit, or are you at the point where you're like, all right, I might actually get on this show and this could be good for me? Like, where are you at in your mind?
I had just gotten broken up with and like I was pretty beaten down and I got into like kind of a dark place of like, this is never going to work for me. Like I've had like 3 or 4 relationships that like have failed. I was like, maybe this one will work. And if it does, it'll be a super dope story to tell. And like my grandkids can like watch it on YouTube if they want, you know? Like that's the way I was like justifying or working it out. And I was like, at the time I was 31, I was like, you know, it's time to like grow up and, you know, find your forever person. And I thought I had found that with the last person, but I hadn't.
Yeah.
And I was like, if nothing else, this would be like a really fun experience for me, just to like see what happens.
I mean, like, I like being in a house full of dudes, obviously. Like, you know, I don't mind. Like, so for me, that experience would have been fun.
Yeah.
Like, to get that, like, fraternity type feel. Is that the type of dude you are? Like, do you like that, like...
It was easy for me.
It was easy for you.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a people person, and I'm good at, like, kind of deflecting drama. And so it wasn't hard for me to, like, live in that world. And the other thing that I had a leg up over everyone else is that I had worked in radio for, at that time, like 11 years prior. So I was always really good at self-editing because I had the FCC breathing down my neck every day. So I was able to go on that show and say what I wanted to say without saying the thing that everyone wanted me to say and sounding stupid, you know? And like knowing how to, you know, say everyone's name before I said the funny or crazy thing so they couldn't edit it differently and all that kind of stuff. I was smart enough about that to not look stupid on TV.
Oh, I worked in reality TV for a better part of 8 years. And I tell everybody, you say the name before and after. And after. Yeah, and after. You make sure you put the last name in there too. Because if there's an Adam C and an Adam B, and you just say Adam, well, Adam's getting it. Because you have to be ready. You got to be prepared.
Yeah.
But by week 6, were you like, I don't know if I can do this anymore? Was there ever a point where you were like, I made a mistake?
It became pretty evident that she liked other guys a lot more than myself. The time that I got the one-on-one was the end of my run there. And it was like the first time I got to spend like a very like long, like a day with her. And we finally like make out in that weird date. And at that time I was like, all right, like there's no question that she was hot. Like I was very attracted to her. I thought she was very cool. I finally got some like a little bit of, like positive affirmation back from her. So I was like, okay, then let's keep going with
Let's
this.
do it.
Before that, I was like, I think I'm just like her buddy, you know?
You got that vibe.
Yeah, I got like
Because I got
friend
it
zone.
too.
Yeah. And at the dinner, like they put the awkward music in. This was so long ago, but like they put the awkward music in. But during the date, it felt very like a good, like adult conversation. And I remember thinking like, I think that I've got a leg up over the other guys because I can hold a conversation a little bit better.
And you can connect.
Yeah.
And you're an easygoing guy.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then she was like, you know, we're just not far along. And I was like, I totally get it. Not a problem.
But you had no idea that outside that house, people were going wild about you.
Well, I was the funny guy. I was like, I remember when, do you remember when, so Chad gets kicked out of the house and then we have a funeral for him and I use his protein powder as if it were his ashes. And I write a eulogy for him.
Yes.
And so then the producer's like, this is funny. You need to write a eulogy. And I was like, great.
I'm in.
So I like sat down and I was like writing and they're like, no, don't write it. Just go there and just improv it. So I was like, okay. And then I remember afterwards, everyone was dying laughing. It was a really funny moment. We like kicked the protein powder like off the roof. And afterwards I was like, oh, I'm the funny guy. I got it. Like I know who I am. I'm
not the funny guy.
Yeah, like she's not taking the funny guy.
Nobody's the funny guy.
No fantasy
Trust
suites.
me.
Yeah.
No one the funny guy here.
But I was like, sweet. If that's who I am on this, great.
They'll keep me around a little bit longer.
Yeah. Like I must be like liked or whatever. So I remember that moment. I was like, okay, this is good. If nothing else, this is okay. So when I got sent home, I was torn up about it, just because it's just a lot. Like you're basically just doing therapy every day, for like long periods of time. But it was fun. I had a great time.
Hell, I would pay for them to be on that show.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if I can do therapy all day, let me give you some money. I'll pay you per episode.
Right?
Now, how long had it been since, like, so you go home.
Yeah.
When did they actually be on Bachelor in Paradise?
Oh, dude, that's so funny. I remember there's one producer who we were driving. I was still on the show, and she was like, I have to leave the production because I have to go home and get ready for Paradise, which you would be great on. And I was like, I'm still on the normal show. What if I win?
Mm-mm.
And that's when I was like, I'm not going to win this. Now I know it. They knew, you know? And she was like, no. Like, if it doesn't work out, like, you'd be so fun and funny on Paradise. And I was like, nope, you screwed up and you told me, and now I know.
Now I know.
Yeah, and they really wanted me to come on Paradise, and I was really, it's funny because at that time, the show wasn't as popular, I think, with contestants or cast members of Bachelor, The Bachelorette.
Yeah.
And so I like fought them on it for a long time, being like, I don't know if I want to do this. Like, my parents already are like so ashamed of me for doing all this stuff.
And now you want to make out with people in front of like, because goes down in Paradise.
For sure. And that was my storyline, right? So I eventually say, you know what, let's do it. And so I go. And my storyline on The Bachelorette was I never made out with JoJo until the last episode, right?
Yeah.
Why I did that, I do not know. So then I go to Paradise and I go on... I went on 3 dates in 4 days and had 2 rose ceremonies. So I literally never slept. I made out with every person that I went on a date with.
Yeah.
I remember the last date I was like, I'm not making out with anybody. And they were like, well, I mean, you know, if you have a connection, you have a connection. I'm like, no, we're making out. I'm making out with everybody. It's getting weird. And then
Sounds like a gay pride weekend.
Yeah. And we were doing a surfing date. And I remember the girl came up to me and like I didn't initiate it. She just started making out with me, and I was like, I literally made out with everybody.
You literally took everyone down.
Yeah.
You tongue slayer.
Oh yeah, and they were like, they were calling me the Bachelor in Paradise. Like that was like they were naming me that because I went on a date every single day. Like when you're the Bachelor, you go on one-on-ones or group dates or whatever. So I went on a date every single day, and then I had to give out a rose. Well, I think I received a rose right when I got there, and then I had a rose ceremony at the end, and then after that, then I had to dump Ashley I, and like that was the end of the show.
All right, you guys, to listen to this whole interview, go to wherever you listen to podcasts, click on Just a Sip and sip this shitty. Like what you saw? Hit subscribe. You don't want to miss any new episodes of Just a Sip, and you can catch up on any past episodes. The tea was hot, I'm telling you.